Hadouken!
Welcome to the Know. I'm Jenkins.
I'm Mica Burton.
This has been a tumultuous week for Nintendo fans, thanks to a number of new launch developments for their next console, the Switch.
Ooh.
First, we had rumors of Zelda missing the launch, and then rumors that Mario took its place. I mean, Nintendo's really been playing with our emotions. Again.
But as of this morning, we've got word about 2 new titles that may or may not be working their way into the Switch's first few months. A new Mario RPG, and more importantly, a brand new HD version of Pokemon Sun and Moon, codenamed Pokemon Stars, which is a rad name. We've heard rumbling from other sources before, so it's sounding more solid now.
Yeah, I still like Pokemon Eclipse. Let's still try to keep the Squirtles in check, everybody. We're gonna start with the more exciting of the rumors first, which is, of course, Pokemon Stars, which comes from Eurogamer, who says the game is confirmed from a number of sources. And if true, that means that for the first time, a mainline Pokemon title will grace one of Nintendo's home consoles.
I could
We're
just
talking
see it now.
no snaps, no Colosseums, straight Pokemon.
It's gonna be so gorgeous. Can you imagine just walking around with your Pikachu on the big screen? I'm getting emotional about it. The Switch exclusive title will be an expansion to Pokemon Sun and Moon, similar to Yellow for Red and Blue and Platinum for Diamond Pearl, and it could be seen within a few months of the console's launch. However, Eurogamer sources also indicate that it may be pushed back closer to next year's holiday period.
According to the report, Stars is well into development, as it was developed by Game Freak alongside Sun and Moon. The development teams apparently tag teamed with the work on Sun, Moon, and Stars together, but paused development on Stars over the last few months so they could polish up Sun and Moon before their launch. However, development started back up on Stars in earnest now that Sun and Moon are out. And you know, there's a lot that tallies in with that. Like, everyone noticed, for example, that all the models are much higher resolution and much more detailed than they need to be for the 3DS. So everyone was wondering if that was some sort of future-proofing or if we could potentially see a Stars/Eclipse on Switch, and that's sounding pretty good now.
Those crafty little devils, they've known the whole time. In terms of differences we can expect in the Switch version, Eurogamer reports that it'll feature the same map of the Alola region, which isn't too big of a surprise. It'll also feature the same art style, but with higher resolution assets. Their sources also say you'll be able to trade Pokemon between Stars, Sun, and Moon via Pokemon Bank, which is so exciting!
Now, in terms of other changes, it might be best to look at Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon Platinum, which also released as expanded third entries to their respective generations. Now, each of those brought a number of changes that were unique to their third version. Pokemon Yellow, for instance, ditched the Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur starters for the anime favorite Pikachu, along with a slightly different story. Now, you could pick up the original starters along the way, but for that game, Pikachu was your bae.
As he always will be in my heart. The changes between Platinum and the Diamond Pearl were more extensive and might give us a few more indicators about what we can expect from Stars. In Platinum, winter came to the Sinnoh region, changing up the aesthetic look of the game from its counterparts, plus 59 more Pokemon.
Now, there were also some massive storyline changes with that one, which included access to a brand new playable area and remixed versions of the region's towns.
It'll be interesting to see how Pokemon Stars takes advantage of the Switch hardware over that of the 3DS as well. While Sun and Moon are very well reviewed, one of the primary complaints is that they often suffer from performance problems for those who haven't invested in the new 3DS.
The new
3DS.
Not just a new 3DS, but the new 3DS.
Usually when Nintendo releases Pokemon expansions, they appear on the same hardware as the previous versions.
Yeah, really putting this game on the Switch shows just how much they're taking the launch of this console very seriously. There have been rumors that a proper Pokemon entry would be heading to the Switch since this summer, with sources indicating that Nintendo was doing everything they could to make sure Switch had a solid lineup. And in fact, the CEO of the Pokemon company specifically said, "We are working on a Pokemon game for the Switch," and everyone went, "Yay!" But we didn't realize it would come quite this soon.
So we're all happy. Everything we've heard is a very solid lineup from Nintendo Switch, which we've learned this week might now include a 3D Super Mario game, plus Switch ports for both Skyrim and Splatoon. But that's not all, because another report now claims in addition to those titles, Switch will be getting a brand new Mario RPG on launch day.
And this story comes from Let's Play Video Games, who seem to have a borderline psychic link to Nintendo for all the leaks they've been releasing. Now, they're saying sources at Ubisoft and Nintendo have confirmed a day one Ubisoft Mario and Rabbids crossover. Yes, the raving Rabbids and Mario, I guess they were over their Sonic collaboration. It's weird, but it's definitely not the weirdest thing Ubisoft has ever done.
Very true. According to the report, the working title is Mario RPG Invasion of the Rabbids, and it's being developed in close conjunction with the watchful eyes of Nintendo. The actual plot involves rabbits invading the Mushroom Kingdom because of video game reasons.
Of course.
And a rabbit version of Bowser serving as the main enemy because,
that just sounds cute
Of
now.
course. There was Meowser, and now there's Rabbid Bowser. Meowser. This will play out like a traditional Mario RPG, however. Other sources are claiming it plays more like a tactical RPG, closer to something like XCOM.
Or maybe Final Fantasy Tactics. So now that this is all shaking out, it sounds like we've got a really interesting potential lineup for the first 6 months or so of Switch. We're talking New Super Mario, Mario RPG, Splatoon, Skyrim, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Stars, unless that ends up being Holiday, and potentially even ports of Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. As per other recent rumors.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's pretty good.
That would have to be one of the most solid lineups in Nintendo console history, or like any console history, now that I'm thinking about it. Looking back at previous launch window titles, Nintendo 64 had Super Mario 64, Pilot Wings, Turok, Killer Instinct, Mario Kart, Wave Race 64, and the Star Wars Shadow of the Empire in its first 6 months.
So good.
Meanwhile, the GameCube had Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Smash Bros, Melee, Eternal Darkness in that console's first 6 months.
Things took a little bit of a turn for the next two consoles, though, despite selling incredibly well early on. The Wii had a downright atrocious launch window, besides Wii Sports and Twilight Princess and Super Paper Mario and Mario Party 8. And the Wii U was even worse than that, with New Super Mario Bros. U, Ninja Gaiden 3, Lego City Undercover, and New Super Luigi U, which they were bad games, they weren't as heavy hitters and there weren't as many of them.
I didn't know half of those existed. So, ouch. Fortunately, early indicators are that Nintendo is not looking to repeat those same mistakes this time around. Let's hope that things keep sticking the course, and maybe there will be a few more surprises come January when Nintendo shows off this lineup to the press.
You know, they've got to be hoping they've just got some surprise left that doesn't leak in the meantime. I'm really happy that, they admitted, I know that Reggie Fils-Aimé admitted that they needed to have more games. They needed to pay a lot more attention to their launch lineup this time around. That was one of the things they learned from Wii U. So if this lineup is any indication, and if it's the actual launch lineup, that's pretty spectacular.
The Switch is gonna rock it.
I think so anyway. What do you think of Pokemon Stars and a new Mario RPG coming to Switch? Let us know in the comments.
For more updates on Nintendo Switch titles, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
What would Stars do? Because Sun and Moon obviously have their time thing that they can switch between. That's like their shtick. What can Stars do?
Space. Pokemon in space. I want Pokemon in space.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.